Okay, here we are. I'm in Minnesota and I'm really excited that we got access to a private collection of motorcycles. So today we're going to be looking over a collection of Ducati Superbikes starting from the 851 through all the different generations up to the Superleggera. So this is not an open to the public location or collection, so I'm really honored that the gentleman has granted me access and we're able to look at these incredible motorcycles. So we're going to kind of just do a little impromptu walkthrough on some of the history of these bikes and what makes them special. Okay, well here is the collection and I'm here with SBK Stash and we're going to go and just look through these motorcycles and get a little bit of a rundown on what we have here. So what are we starting with here on the end?
So the first is a 851 kit. It is the first Ducati Superbike, the first bike they made for a World Superbike competition. This is the first homologation special. They made 207 of them, and it's the first iteration of the Desmo Quattro motor, which had so much World Superbike success. The bike differs from the street version by having magnesium rims. Interestingly enough, it had rear turn signals, but no front turn signals, no mirrors, and it had titanium panel rods. It had a bunch of trick stuff on the inside. One of the most interesting features is the seat, if you look at it, has a round mold mark in it. The first 200 bikes from the factory, someone set a hot cup down on the mold.
Really?
And actually all the seats are that way.
They're all that way?
They're all that way. So that's the way you know. And that's, you know, this is when Ducati is making very small amounts of bikes. For the first year 851s, total production over 2 varieties was 500 motorcycles.
Wow. How did you find out about the cup story?
It's online. If you look around, you notice that people say, what the heck is the deal with the seat? And basically it turns out that that was the deal. That someone at the factory put a hot cup down on the mold and it created that imperfection.
So this is kind of the original Superbike, right?
This is the first Ducati Superbike. Literally the first one they brand is a Superbike, built for World Superbike homologation.
And that's when World Superbike started.
That's correct, 88.
88. Wow, okay. We got a bit of a jump here up to 916. This is a Massimo Tamburini?
Yes, yes. So this is the first, this is a 94 916 SP. So this is the first homologation special of the 916 model with the styling. So this is built in 94, 95. It features some trick engine parts, it features some trick suspension parts, and basically this is the start of the 916 era of Superbike racing.
Quite possibly the most beautiful motorcycle ever made, right? Do you agree? I don't know. Are you partial to one or the other?
Looks are a matter of taste.
Right.
Everybody has a different taste.
Yeah. Pretty special though, that's for sure. Moving on, 996.
So this is the 996R. It is the first model with the Testastretta motor, the narrow valve head Ducati motor that followed the Desmo Quattro. Again, Superbike homologation special, carbon fiber fairings, Öhlins forks, a bunch of different higher end pieces. This particular one is not particularly stock. It actually has magnesium wheels on, and the Öhlins are not the original Öhlins that came on. They're later model radial pieces. It has a magnesium triple tree. This has got a BSB 60 millimeter system on it. It's very much not a stock bike. So you can see the race tail. It's got Dews fasteners. So I'm collecting all the stock parts to be able to put this back to stock. I don't know that I'll do it, we'll see. Things like the magnesium valve covers wouldn't have come on this. And you can see it's a later model, later style exhaust. Really great bike to ride though. Testastretta motor is of course a big step up on the Desmo Quattro.
Sure. 1 second here. So this would have had axial brakes, right?
Yeah, it would have, yes. Well, yes, it would have not had the
The radials.
The radials, that's correct.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on old magnesium?
It's fine. I'm
It's
not
fine?
racing. I'm not stressing
yeah.
it that much. You know, as long as the finish is good, I'm not worried about it.
You're good with that?
Yeah. It'll, you know, my guess is in my use, it'll show fractures before it ever does anything terrible.
Sure, sure. And these bikes get ridden?
Yeah, they do. All the bikes, you know, the Ducatis, I mean, tremendous number of belt services. These are all in a 5-6 year schedule, and they were all done last year, I think.
Okay.
So everything is set to be ridden. I haven't quite gotten through riding all of them, I don't think, though. I'm trying to remember which ones I haven't ridden the. Yeah, there's one or two I haven't gotten around to riding.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a fairly polarizing bike from a style standpoint, but 999R. I kind of like them.
This bike. So this is an 03 999R. So it has the original slots in the upper fairing that were designed. They were later removed to make it look a little less jolting as a design. This bike to me is the bike that everybody should be buying now. What happens is you look at the 916, you look at 1098, look 996, they all look kind of alike. You look at all the Japanese bikes that aped the 916 style. This thing is just a wild styling job, and it has aged really well. At a bike night, this draws tremendous amount of attention. People really look at this thing.
Sure.
And from a performance viewpoint, it's just a step up in terms of production quality. The quality of this build is much better than everything else that preceded it. The design of the electrics, the design of everything that goes into it are just much, much better. This particular bike has BST carbon fiber wheels. One of the things I do as a collector is I always try to buy bikes when they're at the bottom of their appreciation cycle.
Okay.
And that also means that people are generally starting to sell parts, high performance parts at discounts. So I think I paid $1,500 for a set of BST wheels for this.
Sure.
Which, you know, makes a tremendous performance difference in basically, you know, it's the kind of stuff that I wouldn't have paid the $3,500 or $4,000, but at $1,500, yeah.
Yeah, sold.
Yeah.
So you think that these are a good buy today and they're going to continue to appreciate?
Longer term, these I think are really going to be seen as something special.
Yeah.
So if you look at a 916 from 94 to 2002, the 998R, they look totally the same.
Yeah.
This has got a 3-year period, 4-year period where this style is the deal, and nothing ever looks like this.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. The magnesium housing, the fact that the upper fairing on this is, the entire fairing is carbon fiber. The 03 had a carbon fiber tail section too, whereas the later ones didn't. It doesn't have the most powerful 999R motor, but in the long term, these are not high power bikes. I mean, as collectibles, of course, modern bikes have eclipsed them in performance.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, I mean, I brought this to a bike night and people are just all over it.
Yeah. I think one of the things I love about this era of Ducatis is they were truly special bikes and there wasn't that many of them. Like modern Ducatis, there's an LE version like every time you turn around.
Right,
you're like, are they all special? But
then LE versions that match the entire first year production of the 851.
Yeah.
Right, so you have this whole swing, and that's one of the things that if you're collecting this stuff, like the older stuff, is limited production just because he just didn't make any of them. Right, yeah. So you buy this new thing, it's limited, you know, all this stuff. It's not really limited.
It's not really limited, no. All right, 1098R.
So this is, these things are, from a riding viewpoint, you got to own one of these. So everything that Ducati made as a reputation for superbikes this is the ultimate version of that. The motor has just got this hoary-chested, torque-rich motor. I actually ride this very differently than I ride everything else because the torque is just so fun to play with. So Normally I tend to really lean on the front end for speed, scrub with the front wheel. This one I slow down at the entrance to make sure I can basically blast the thing out of the corner.
Yep, yep.
And it's just, if you want the ultimate of a traditional Ducati Superbike, this is the answer.
Such a beautiful
you know,
bike.
they just really a fantastic experience. Just the ultimate Ducati twin from a torque viewpoint.
It's a really beautiful bike too, and it's a really nice balance between your kind of classic old school look and modern. Like,
Yeah,
it's very
yeah.
timeless.
Yeah, the tough thing is, I mean, so if you look at the 916, this is, you know, what they're doing is they're trying to recover from the reaction to the 999R, and so they go back to aping the 916 design,
Yeah.
which everybody loved at the time, but I think over the long run, I think people will look at it and say, well, it made it less special because it wasn't as unique in its own.
Sure, sure. Okay, moving on from 1098, we've got to jump to Panigale Superleggera.
Yep. So the Panigale represents Ducati's attempt to keep the V-Twin competitive. And so what they do is they go to a wildly over square motor. The previous motors were 1.57 to 1 bore and stroke. These are 2 to 1. So this is a really, really short stroke, very, very broad piston motor. It changes the character of the motor. You pick up about 1,000 RPM on the red line. You can rev it higher, but the power is much more at the top. The bikes become, because of the abandonment of the trellis frame and the movement to a frame attached to the motor for the front and rear, they become super 600-like. So all of a sudden the steering is super agile, super light, and they are much more nimble in feel than the previous generations. Of course, most people are really disappointed though, because even though they have more power, about 10 more horsepower than the 1098R,
Yeah.
they simply lack the torque.
Oh.
And there's no way you can make that up.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the swan song of V-Twin Ducatis in World Superbike racing. They just can't press the design anymore to make them competitive.
And this is a super lightweight.
This is a super lightweight model. So it has magnesium frame, front and rear attached to it, magnesium wheels, magnesium. This bike actually, if you stripped off the street parts on it, would be under the World Superbike weight minimum.
Wow.
So this also shows Ducati is capable of making an even more special superbike racing motor, but the rules are set to make sure that everybody can compete and participate.
Yeah.
So they prevent them from going to this exotic stuff to get light because everybody else can't afford to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've gone through the Ducatis here, and this is a very difficult decision at SBK Stash because there's so many incredible motorcycles. It was kind of hard to focus in on a story, but so kind of what we came up with was the Ducati Superbike history, and then we thought we'd throw in a couple of other V-twins from other manufacturers that are significant to World Superbike history. So we have here a RC51 and a Bimota. Tell us about, what have we got going here?
So the RC51, this is an SP2, the second generation 2002. The first generation SP1 really had some issues with it. The SP2 fixed most of them. So this bike in 2002 wins the World Superbike Championship under Colin Edwards. It is very much a Honda bike. Gear-driven cams, sounds very different, works very, very differently than the Ducatis. Very much similar to the RC45, RC30 in terms of feel. These have this, I don't know how to describe it. Honda homologation specials feel like they're built out of a chunk of billet.
Okay.
They just have this kind
Solid
of chunk feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Really handles well, very neutral. Power is good. Exhaust note, I prefer the Ducati exhaust note, but this is, you know, really pretty nice. This has Sato titanium pipes on it, Marcassini magnesium wheels, you know, Brembo rotors. Again, you know, I buy these bikes and basically I buy them at a point where there are parts available to upgrade them for relatively cheap. I think the
Sure.
Marquesinis cost me $1,000
Okay.
for magnesium wheels.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I can do that. So
It's pretty amazing to me, and I don't know the exact history, but this was basically built to beat Ducatis at their own game.
yep.
How did Honda not have the weight to like get the rules changed in a World Superbike, and they had to spend all this money developing a whole new bike?
I don't know that. I mean, Ducati always, because they started out very small, and basically the World Superbike guys were trying to expand the series in terms of brands.
Okay.
They had to afford all the European manufacturers, who were much lower volume manufacturers, a lot of latitude to get them in.
That makes sense.
Having
yeah.
gotten them in, their product lines are much smaller and all that. They could not really allow the Japanese to have exactly the advantage, because they have a lot more models to basically get
Yeah.
profit from and
Yeah.
amortize across. So, but the RC51, really a great bike. What's interesting to me is this is also an example of the impact of World Superbike on regular production bikes. So in 2002, they made the RC51, and then they made the CBR 954RR.
Yep, yep.
The CBR 954RR was easily 25 to 50 pounds lighter
Okay.
than the RC51.
Yeah.
I owned one. It was just much nicer bike to ride,
Yeah.
and all these things. And what happens is, because they weren't building a bike that had to, that they were going to, tweak the motor on and basically develop 25 or 50 more horsepower in World Superbike trim, they could basically put in a lighter frame. They could put in a lighter swing arm. They could do
Okay.
all those things. So all the homologation bikes over time become beefier than they need to be, simply because when they go into race form, they need all that
They need
strength.
the
They
weight,
need all
yeah.
that stuff. And the street bikes just don't have that kind of power.
That's kind of backwards to think. Like the street bikes are almost lighter than the
Well,
race
it's
bikes.
because you're not going to race them. You're
Yeah,
not going to
yeah.
run them at 180 mile an
Yeah,
hour
yeah.
and try to turn them.
Yeah.
So they just. So when you look at a World Superbike, probably this 1,000, my guess is probably making 180, maybe even as much as 190, 200 horsepower in their heyday.
Yeah.
The CBR 954RR made 150 horsepower, 140
yeah.
horsepower. So.
But Honda wasn't the only one that was trying to beat Ducati with V-twins. We got a Suzuki engine here too, right? In a Bimota?
Yep. So this is a TL1000R Suzuki motor in the Bimota. This is Bimota actually is kind of on a shoestring at this point, and they realized that Suzuki is just made in the TL1000R something way too heavy, so they put their bike together. It weighs 50 pounds less than the TL1000R. It is got different throttle bodies on it, a little bit better performance out of the motor. And they actually, this is the model that won the last World Superbike round that Bimota won in 2000 with Anthony Gobert on the bike. They won a round in the 2000 World Superbike round.
Okay.
So,
what an incredible machine.
Super exotic. If you're looking to collect, Bimotas of this era are just a deal and a half. So this bike actually, this particular Bimota was about the price that people pay for a nice RC51.
Okay.
Which tells you, and
That's a pretty good
it's
deal.
just so much more exotic. This frame is made of carbon fiber at the swing arm pivot, and then with aluminum spars for the frame. It weighs less than an RC51. It's very nice motorcycle. And of course, you just won't see one. They only made 150 of these in 2 different trims. This is in the what they call the special trim. So carbon fiber bodywork, more carbon fiber bodywork, I should say, than the regular version. So somewhere, maybe 75 to 80 of these made.
Wow.
This Bimota features the typical Bimota trick of that time. So this is a unsupported carbon fiber rear seat unit. There's no frame under there. It's just formed carbon fiber. So that helps with mass centralization and getting all the weight forward.
Sure. Wow, that's incredible. So you mentioned tough times with Bimota. Can we talk about this bike? Is this
Sure.
why there was tough times?
Yes. So the Bimota V-due was a really bold step by Bimota to make a fuel-injected two-stroke bike so they could get around emissions controls. They released this bike in 1998. It's very ambitious because they use their own V-Twin two-stroke motor, and they just try to really go for it. They have really issues with the fuel injection, but their biggest problem was probably the fact that the crankcases were not machined correctly, so they ended
Okay.
up with air bleeding in through the main seals in the bottom of the crankcase, which of course prevented them from operating correctly.
Sure.
So my guess is they actually chased their fuel injection problems for a long time before they finally realized their problem was they had air leaking in from the bottom crankcases.
I see. Is this the first time that Bimota tried to build their own engine?
Yes, this is the
is?
first time Bimota tried to build their own engine.
And the last?
And the last.
And the last?
Yeah.
Man, that's a sad story. I'm a huge two-stroke fan. I just love these motorcycles, and it's really a shame that this didn't work out for Bimota, because this was probably one of the last good attempts at a two-stroke, right?
It is, and then to put it in the context of what's going on, this produces roughly the same horsepower as a 750 SRAD or a CBR 900RR, but it weighs 372 pounds full wet.
Yeah.
So it actually is about 50 pounds lighter.
Lighter, yeah. I love because these stock, didn't they have an exhaust? The exhaust came down here.
This is a Edizione Finale version, which has Jolly Motos that come up top.
Okay.
So there are basically only supposed to be 30 of these made with that exhaust on it, which added more power and just looked much nicer than the other ones. This particular bike has BST wheels on it.
Gotcha. Okay, we could spend all day here, but the last one, I can't leave without looking at a Desmosedici. What? Tell us about this. This is I guess very different than what we've been talking about, because this isn't Superbike at all. This is GP, right?
Well, this is so Ducati, is racing V4 Desmodronic motors in GP. So they make a GP replica in 2008. It's their first V4 Desmo motor. They had made 4 cylinders before, but this is the first street model of that. It's released at the same time as the 1098R. Performance-wise, it's very, very close. A lot of people, frankly, from a performance viewpoint, the 1098R is as capable from a performance viewpoint as this is.
Okay.
On the other hand, this thing, the sound it makes when the motor runs is just, it's just incredible.
Indescribable, yeah.
It's like Gabriel's horn. I mean, you turn this thing on and people come going, what the heck is that sound? It's just incredible. From a performance viewpoint, it's a very different feel than the twins, of course. It's a wonderful bike. Lucky to own one.
Yeah. This bike, as I was saying to you earlier, this bike means a lot to me because I was in Bologna when this bike was built, and they were setting up the assembly line in the Corsa department, and so pretty special time. That was right after Casey Stoner had won a championship, so pretty amazing. And I guess this would be, there's a Honda, what's the RC211?
Yeah, RC213V.
Yeah.
So the difference is the Honda is an actual GP bike that has been basically made to use on the street. So it's derived directly from the GP bike. The Ducati is a replica. So the Honda is just, I mean, from a viewpoint of exotic bikes, the Honda is the pinnacle.
Gotcha.
The only problem is the Honda only produced 110 horsepower or 120 horsepower unless you bought the race kit, and the race kit was another $100,000.
Oh, geez.
So,
it's a little bit limiting.
You know, the tough thing about the notion of race bikes on the street is nothing is set to, service interval, nothing is set to last. I mean, you build a race bike, you think, hey, I'm gonna do, you know, 20 laps and then I get to rebuild the thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like a street bike in that sense, where you think, wow, 6,000 miles and then you need to service it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's actually been true of an awful lot of homologation bikes. These Desmosedicis, to do the valve adjustment, the motor has to come out. And the frame and the cases have to be split.
Oof.
You actually have to do it from the, you actually have to do, pull the pistons down apparently. So 40-hour book job.
Yeah. Does this one get ridden?
Yeah, this gets ridden.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything gets ridden as much as I, you know, have time to. It's Minnesota's short season.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're going to wrap up this episode. It's been an absolute ton of fun connecting with SBK Stash and seeing just a small part of this incredible collection. So it's been really fun to walk through the lineage and history of these different Ducati models, so starting from the 851 all the way to the Superleggera with a little Desmosedici thrown in. Like, what? Like, how this... Very cool, really, really cool. So big thanks to SBK Stash for having me. It's a real honor to be able to check out these incredible motorcycles. And once again, if you are interested in what we're doing and you're passionate about these old bikes, please give us a subscription. It really helps out a ton. And thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next one.